Good everyone, day 11 of my 2-week challenge, and it was a tough one. I started the session in the green, up $14, but ended up closing red with $11.78 loss plus fees. The worst part? Most of my trades were green to begin with, and I let them go red. So let's break it down. So the first stock I saw this morning was MULN. I was in front of my computer a little early and I was a little bit trigger happy, and this had, broke around 5.30, pushed up to a high of $2, around $2, and had pulled back. It was sort of building up here, and I missed the break here as it broke up to VWAP. But as it pulled down, I got a little bit excited and I bought in at 163. So right there I bought in as it came down to the bottom of that first red candle, which is not an entry that I'm meant to be taking. I should have waited until at least it was hitting the 9 EMA, or as it actually showed some confirmation here and pushed up and, broke above this green candle here at 155. So I'm at 163. It pulled all the way back down here to 153. I should have got out here as it pushed back to 160, 161 and taken a very small loss, as I was only in with 88 shares. But I held it for a bit longer. It broke down through here again, and I ended up taking it around 152, which actually was a good decision in the end, as it broke down even further and didn't really rally up to $1.60 again until I think the open. I think at the open it pushed up to about 163. Yeah. So first trade off down $9.68. So not a good start to the morning. An early start, this time being early didn't mean I was any better. Next trade I took was on BIYA. Buyer International Group. So this is also pushed up around 5 o'clock, made a high of 138, pulled back, and around 6, just after 6 o'clock, it also broke up through VWAP, and I bought in at the retest of VWAP at $1.15. So it came down here and tested the VWAP. 9 EMA was there as well for support, and this is actually a decent trade. Good entry at $1.15, and then it pushed up to the previous high of $1.38. I also was a little bit trigger happy on taking my profit on this one. There was no real reason to take it at $1.30. It had struggled a little bit down here, and then it slowly pushed up to $1.22, and the volume was starting to come back in, and it pushed up to $1.30, and I just wasn't sure if it was going to push higher. And instead of waiting and just giving it a chance, I sold at 130. I think I actually put a preset order in at 130 actually, as it pushed up and broke 125. Yeah, so not a great exit on this one, but a decent profit, $16.95 with 113 shares on this one here. But definitely could have made another $10 profit on top of that if I'd held out a bit longer for 145, around there. Well, actually more than $10 profit, more like 15. But yeah, not to be. But happy with this trade. This is probably the best trade of the day, and that's probably where I should have left it. By this stage, I would have been up, I think it was about $7, $8 I was up on the day, and could have walked away green there. even after fees, I still would have been green. But I didn't. I carried on and took another trade on GPUS. So GPUS had sort of broken up from $1.50, $1.60, pushed up to about $2.95 and pulled back. I missed this part here. Probably should have taken an entry of $2 as it pushed higher. But I decided to get in on the pullback here at 266. Dropped a wee bit further to 260, 259, and then rallied up and broke through the high of day. And I took it at 278, which again, way too soon. I took it here as it was pushing up, looking at it not breaking through and not holding, not breaking through that previous pivot or breaking over the previous high. So it was still, 12 cents a share. So it was still a decent trade. But, way too soon. Way too soon. It pushed all the way up to 317, and I should have been taking my profit as it, pushed through $3. But I'm just not holding my winners at all. And last night was the same problem. Holding losers too long and selling my winners too soon. Only $6.24 profit on that. With 52 shares in there at 266 and getting out at 278. And then that sort of pulled back, rolled over below VWAP and sort of held the 20 EMA, and it broke through VWAP here, and I looked at getting in off VWAP, just below VWAP on the 9 EMA here, for it to hold and push back higher. It did. It went up to 268, and that's where I should have taken my profit. It's on the back side now, so it's trending down. If I put in that trend line, from the previous candles, that would have been a good estimate of where that stock might have gone to. It didn't hold up here, and it broke down. And I held this for quite a while. So I held that for, 47 minutes. And for no gain at all, and for an even bigger loss. So that was a loss of $18.15. Really, once it broke up through here, I should have just gotten out for a profit, or even as it broke back here, gotten out break even, as it didn't hold VWAP and rejected. I could have been out at 250 with very little. Very small loss. But I held it thinking it was going to push back. It didn't. And even through the rest of pre-market, it just kept going down and into the open. So not a good read on that one, and not good risk management on this one either. So could have had a green trade on that, could have had a small winner, or at least out break even, but yeah, just didn't manage the risk well on that one. Then I traded, my last trade was on AIFF. So this was, where is it? AIFF, here we are. This pushed up here to around 421 as it broke from $3. I got on here at 379. So once again, a little bit high. Should be waiting for it to come down to the 9 EMA. I've got to remember to do that. It seems to work off the 9 EMA quite well. But in at 379 here, a little bit high, and pulled back down to the 9 EMA, down to about 370. And then dipped down to 360, and then pushed up to 393. And as it pushed up here, that should have been my exit. Pushing up here, even if it came back down to 385, 380, or pushed up again to 390, that should have been my exit. I was looking for it to push to 4, but it hadn't reached it there, and if it was going to push to 4, it would probably would have pushed a little bit higher, breaking that level. But it didn't. It held back and then dumped. I held through this pullback instead of getting out, and then held through this consolidation period and pushed up here to 372, which is where I should have taken it, but I actually got out before it pushed at 358. So as it sort of held this level here, it was struggling to push over 360, and it came up to 358, 359, and I thought, no, I'm just going to get out before it dumps again. And as soon as I got out, it pushed up over that and pushed up to 370, 380. So I could have gotten out break even up here, but knowing me, I probably would have held it too long and would have been back down here anyway. It's just the way things go for me at the moment. I am terrible at holding or cutting my losers quickly. Up here when it started coming back, I should have just gotten out break even, or as it broke down through VWAP, should have just gone, nah, that's it, I'm out. 379, sorry, that would have been break even. So, not great trading last night. I really thought about taking another trade at the open. Coming into the open, I was watching, what was I watching? I was actually watching the wrong stock. Can't remember what it was, NTTL, something like that, I think it was. It had pushed up and then pulled back and gone sideways, and I was thinking it was going to pop. But the stock that actually popped was LUCY. And there was a penny stock as well that I was watching that ended up popping. That had been sort of going up and pushing up over $1 a couple of times during pre-market. But LUCY was the one that actually was at the low, and this was the one that popped off the low. Went from 275, pushed up to 343, pulled back, and then ripped to $4.55, $5, almost $4.70. So this was this one did decently well at the open and was one of the ones on my watch list. But I was concentrated on the other stock when it pushed up through here. And when it wasn't breaking through over this level at 350 and pulled back, I thought, nah, it's not looking too good. And by 10 to 10, coming to the end of my trading session, I decided to shut it down and not take any more. But I see that it did break through 345 and rip up to 450. So yeah, not great. So go to my stats. So took 5 trades today, only 2 winners and 3 losing trades. So not great on my stats today, 40% accuracy. Risk reward of 0.99. So a 1-to-1 sort of risk reward ratio. Gross loss of $11.78. But looking at taking 5 trades and fees are around $2.08, so $2 a trade, that's $10 in fees. So almost double my gross loss there, and it'll be around $22 loss, including the fees. So not a great end to the week. Puts me red on the week, $17.29 gross, but calculating all the fees for the week, it's probably closer to 10, 14, 16, 18. So adding another $18 onto that, so that's 27. So more like $34 in the red for this week after we take away the fees, or add on the fees, I should say. So not looking good. I couldn't pull that red day back today. If I had stopped, so here's my P&L over the day, course of the day, trading session. If I'd stopped here at 13.51, that's $6 in fees. I still would have been green on the day at least. And I might not have been green on the week. I wouldn't have been green on the week, but I would have had a green day at least. And then most of the days would have been green for the week. And that would have ended the week on a more positive note. Still would have broke my rules of the challenge because, I'm only meant to take a maximum of 2 trades. And really, after my second trade, I was up $7.27, $4. I would have only been up $3 in profit, but that still would have been green on the day, and that still would have been a better result than down $11.78. Still would have been red on the week, but ending the week on a green note would have been better. So P&L curve back down to the lows again, and now looking at having to recover in the last kind of week of the month and the last week of my challenge. So this challenge hasn't really, the last 2 trading sessions has been not very good. If I go back to that one there, that date, 18th. Yeah, so in the last session, APVO was the one that I really mismanaged my risk on, going down $24 in the red on that trade. And today as well, not keeping to the challenge rules and stopping when I was in the green was a big mistake. And, taking an extra trade on GPUS and going green and just kind of missing out on, selling short. I think initially it kind of annoyed me that I was selling too soon, and then taking the extra trades and then taking, just the last 2 trades were, okay, but they weren't really at the right time. And I should have just been taking quick scalps, not looking for big pushes, because the big push I'd already missed. On the first time with GPUS, that was the big push. That's when I should have been holding, waiting for a pullback or waiting for a big red sell order on the ask or something, not holding out on the second one where it's already, done that big move and was pulling back. So not good decision making at all. This was a frustrating day. I disregarded my own rules and let solid green trades turn into losses. That's not the challenge I set for myself. I really wanted to take one more trade at the open, but I missed the best setups and found myself focused on the wrong stock. So I decided to shut it down before digging a deeper hole, which was good. Even though it's disappointing, it's part of the journey and part of learning. I've got to stick to the rules and protect those early wins. So next week is a new opportunity to do better. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back next week for day 12 and the final stretch of the challenge, aiming to reset, refocus and finish strong. Hei te rā wiki.